MTG Hacks, you guys!
Hello everyone, welcome back to MTG Hacks. No, it's been a while, so I thought I'd come through with a new deck that I've had for quite some time, but just trying to perfect it. So I think I've gotten it to a point where it is the best that I can. So let's dive through. So it's Marchesa of the Black Rose. She is Grixis colors, +1 colorless, 3/3 human wizard that has Dethrone. Whenever a creature attacks the player with the most life or tied for the most life, put a 1/1 counter on her. Then she gives each other creature I control Dethrone, so same mechanic. And then whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it dies, return that creature to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. Something that's very important about this is the fact that it says that I don't have to own the creature. So if I steal one of my opponent's creatures, kill it, as long as it has a 1/1 counter on it, it actually comes back into play under my control. So that's actually the main theme of the deck. Right now, we're just going to go through some of the lands. So we have a couple fetches. We have Urborg, which is an amazing card. Then sorting it by color. So we have quite a few black-reds. I always want to go with the Pain land because I actually want to hurt myself. So I'll be using a lot of cards that end up hurting me, so I'm never on the throne. And then we got blue-red, and we got black-blue. So we have all of the ones that can help us. The utility lands are actually probably one of the most important because I'm playing Mana Confluence. Typically I don't like Mana Confluence or City of Brass in a commander deck, but with this I actually like it a lot because it helps. Opal Palace will allow me to put a 1/1 counter on my commander first time I cast it, which is good because then my commander will be extremely hard to kill. Then we have some colorless lands that actually are going to provide a sack outlet or provide some power here. So we have Marin, the Moaning Well, High Market, and Phyrexian Tower. Then we have Ancient Tomb to give me that extra 2 colorless, as well as deal 2 damage to me. I play a couple basics, 4 of them to be exact. So that's the land base. Now let's go through and look at some of the enablers. What she does is I want to get 1/1 counters on every creature I control or every creature I steal as much as possible. So Unspeakable Symbol is one of the best ones to do this with. Then we have Drana, Liberator of Malakir. She's really good because of the first strike. So she'll deal the damage. All the creatures will get a 1/1 counter, and then they'll do an extra point of damage, especially when she attacks a player that's on the throne. So they'll get 2 counters, and I can manipulate those a lot. We have Sage of Fables, which is going to put a 1/1 counter on each wizard that comes into play other than herself, and I can pay to remove a counter to draw a card. It actually works really good with Marchesa because she is a wizard. So it's good with that. There's a few other interactions with Sage of Fables. Such a good card. Then we have the Necropolis Regent, which is 6 mana, 6/5 flyer. Whenever a creature I control deals combat damage, I put that many 1/1 counters on it, which is really good. So now that we've kind of gone through some of the enablers for the +1/+1 counters, we're going to look at how we're going to sack them or how we're going to utilize them. So Viscera Seer is actually one of the best ones because it's 1 mana, sack a creature to scry. So I could do that any number of times, and especially when they come back to the battlefield with Marchesa, I can just steal my opponent's creatures, sack them, scry 1, and then it's permanently mine. Then we have Altar of Dementia, sack a creature, target player puts any number of cards from the top of their library into the graveyard equal to the creature's power. So you sack a 3/3, they mill 3, basically. Goblin Bombardment is sack a creature, deal 1 damage to target creature or player. Phyrexian Altar is sack a creature, add 1 mana of any color to my mana pool. There is the Ashnod's Altar, sack a creature to add 2. I actually don't like that one as much because I like the color. Then we have Falkenrath Aristocrat. 4 mana, 4/1 flying haste. Sacrifice a creature, he becomes indestructible. If I sacrifice a human, he gets 1/1 counter. Marchesa is a human, so I can actually sack to get the counter. If she already has a counter, she'll come back anyway. And if I do it with the Sage of Fables, she'll come in with a 1/1 counter. So it creates that like kind of infinite loop of getting Falkenrath really big. Grimgrin, such a great card. 5 mana, 5/5 creature. It doesn't untap, but you sacrifice another creature to untap him. Put a 1/1 counter on it. Whenever Grimgrin attacks, destroy target creature defending player controls, then put a 1/1 counter. So it's a good sack outlet. It kills so many things. So that's a lot of the sack outlets with the counters, so they help each other. Now we're going to see how we can utilize stealing my opponent's creatures or some variation thereof. Gilded Drake's probably one of my favorite because it's 2 mana, 3/3 flyer. When it comes into play, we exchange control of creatures. So you get my creature, I get your creature, and I choose what that creature is. The biggest thing that I really like is that it comes into play, I choose your creature, the abilities on the stack, I sacrifice Gilded Drake, so you get nothing, I get your creature, and if it comes in with a 1/1 counter or something like that, I actually will keep it indefinitely. Then we have the Cytoplast Manipulator. It's probably one of my favorite cards, so underrated, but extremely powerful in Commander. 4 mana, 0/0, but it has Graft 2. When this creature comes into play with 2 1/1 counters on it, whenever another creature comes into play, I can move one of the 1/1 counters from it onto the other creature. Tap 1, tap it, gain control of target creature with a 1/1 counter on it as long as I control Cytoplast Manipulator. So it's something where I can steal my opponent's creatures, sack them, sack this, it comes back in with 1/1 counter because of Marchesa. So it'll actually create this really cool interaction there. It is a wizard, so it actually works with the Sage of Fables yet again, so it'll come in with 3 counters instead of 2. I put Olivia in this pile because she actually will get 1/1 counters when she deals damage to a creature, and then I can actually steal the creature if it's a vampire, which the first ability makes it a vampire. So it's actually really fun. Then we have Sour of Temptation, kind of the same concept as Gilded Drake. It comes into play, gain control of a creature as long as I control Sour of Temptation. Slave of Bolas, 5 mana, gain control of a creature, untap it, it gains haste, sacrifice it at end of turn. So it actually will sack itself, just in case I have Marchesa out. I could dethrone, it'll sack itself, and I'll gain control of it permanently until they kill it again, or I kill it. Then we have Bribery, which is just search your opponent's library for any creature they control in their library and put it into play under my control. So it's a good card. Then we got Have a Ghoul Lich. This is something that I don't understand why a lot of people don't play it. 5 mana, 4/4, pay 1. I can cast any creature in any graveyard and put it into play under my control, and then Have a Ghoul Lich gains all activated abilities of that until end of turn. Puppeteer Click with Persist. It's actually really good because then with Marchesa putting a 1/1/1/1 counter, it having a -1/-1 counter, they actually cancel each other out, so it has no counters on it. So I can actually keep it up. But when it comes into play, I grab a creature from any opponent's graveyard, put it into play under my control. It gains haste. At the end of turn, it's exiled. But if you sack it before then, you can actually retain it. Insurrection, this is just a game winner. 8 mana, untap all creatures and gain control of them till end of turn. They all have haste, so it's a game winner, definitely. Nicol Bolas, I use it for the -2 more often than not, but the versatility is really good for the +3. Just to gain control of a creature is really what I use it for. Now we're looking at some creatures that work very well with Marchesa. One of them is the Chasm Skulker. Whenever you draw a card, it gets a 1/1 counter. Whenever it dies, I get that many 1/1 squids with Island Walk. Solemn Simulacrum's kind of self-evident. With Glen Alondra, it actually works really well with Sage of Fables. You actually get an unlimited counter that you can counter non-creature spells. Greatborn Muse, I like it because it allows me to draw and to get a decent creature out there pretty early on. Dax Duplicant, I like still in big threats, hitting them with it, and it has Dethrone, so I can actually sack it and then choose new targets every time. The Zealous Conscription comes into play, and I gain control of anything, and it gains haste. So I will actually more often than not take control of their biggest creature or a planeswalker. And then I could do that any number of times. River Kelpie is actually one of the best creatures in the deck, because whenever him or another permanent is put into play from the graveyard, I draw a card. So with her Persist, she actually draws a card on her first death. And then whenever a spell is played from a graveyard, draw a card. And just want to clarify, this is actually on either side of the battlefield. So if my opponent does it, I draw a card. If they play a spell from the graveyard, I draw a card. Duplicant, I can use it to exile my opponent's creatures. Do that every time. Kind of the same with Inferno Titan. Flare the Hatebound's probably one of the best one. Kind of works the same way as River Kelpie. When it goes to the graveyard or another creature I control goes to my graveyard and it comes back into play, I will actually be able to deal damage equal to its power to target creature or player. Alright. Then Grave Pact, this is just utilizing the sack effects that I do. It allows me to go through and sack one of my creatures. Every opponent sacrifices a creature. My guy comes back, and then I could do that pretty much an unlimited number of times. Same with the Dictate. Now we're getting into some draw. Senseis, kind of self-evident. Necropotence, which is an amazingly pretty foil. And then we have Dak. I actually like him because he serves the draw function and can still an artifact. So if I'm playing against like Shroom or Brea now, then we have Phyrexian Arena. We have Grim Harrispect. It's actually really good because I'm sacking a lot of things, so I can actually keep on drawing cards off of all my guys dying. Rhystic Study, Painful Truth, Wheel of Fortune. Omnixilis functions twice, so I can kill a creature or draw a card. Got Time Spiral just to kind of reshuffle everything in, get a new start. A couple creature kill spells. So we have Terminate. Cyclonic Rift, I actually put it under here because it just disrupts them so much. Toxic Deluge. Damnation, does destroy everything, which is fun. Blasphemous Act, a lot of these spells that destroy everything really don't affect me too much, so it's okay to go a little more heavy on the destroy all creatures. Now we're getting into some ramp. So Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, Talisman. I like it because it adds mana and it can deal damage to me to keep me off the throne. Because Marchesa's ability does really rely on those 1/1 counters. Coalition Relic, Chromatic Lantern. Lightning Greaves for some haste. And this is where the biggest power of this comes in. So if you have her onto the battlefield, you play sneak attack, sneak in 3 or 4 creatures, attack the player with the most life, they get 1/1 counters, and then they'll come back. So you just spent 1 mana for a 4, 5, or 6 mana casting creature. Then we got Urbrass the Hidden. Just gives all my guys haste, taps down my opponent's stuff. Super fun. Now we have some searching. Vampire Tutor, that one's kind of self-evident. Diabolic Intent, I like it because it sacks a creature as well, so it kind of provides the end goal that I need. Demonic Tutor, kind of a no-brainer on that one. Peripheros, it's actually really good because you can bring a creature back into play. So every time you're dealing 2 damage to each of your opponents, so you're constantly hurting them. And that's actually where a lot of dethrone triggers are going to matter, and hurting yourself. That's why you have Erebos, so you could just pay a couple life and a couple mana, draw a card. And I don't want my opponents gaining life. Then we have 1 infinite combo in the deck, which is the Triskelion Marchesa combo. It's super good. So he gives all non-humans +1/+1 and Undying. Comes in with 3 counters. So you have to deal 2 damage to him and then 1 damage to your opponent. He'll die, come back in, and you could do that an infinite number of times. Something else that Marchesa works very well with is pretty much any creature in the deck. Marchesa, it doesn't work with Marchesa because she is a human, and it doesn't work on humans, but every other creature in the deck typically has a good power. So that's everything that I have to say about Marchesa of the Black Rose. Please leave your comments, like, share, subscribe. Thanks so much, guys.
MTGX, you guys!